guys still have Word doc up potentially?
Do.
Why is mine saying join the meeting?
Yes, not view the, says join for me too. My choice says.
No, mine doesn't. It just says view the agenda. And I
Mine says
can't-
view the agenda.
There, Gary, go ahead. Yeah.
It still works the same.
It's still, is it working?
It still works the same. It's just a different.
Oh, okay, yeah. There we go. They're still doing something.
Okay, I am up and running, so.
Or at least I know.
I have only 3.0.
Oh, I see it.
We're just not gonna do that, right?
Right.
Joe, where's this under? The down below.
But,
Never mind.
okay. Under the budget. It's under. 17.6. I just forgot that. You see it?
Yeah,
Everybody on it.
yeah, sorry, I'm up, is everybody else up and running?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kelly, roll call, please.
Tamara Allen Thomas,
Present.
Laura Arthwell. Here. Mike Belmont.
Here.
Donika Griffin.
Here.
Karen Lyons.
Here.
Sarah Rozuski.
Here.
Darnika Reed.
Here.
Melanie Timbers.
Here.
Terry Lawson.
Here. All right, tonight in executive session, we spoke on real estate and policy. We don't have any announcements.
No announcements, no
No
presentation, no
presentations.
registered speakers.
And no registered speakers. Do we have anyone registered? Will anyone online at all?
I think I did.
Well, he's public comment.
But your public comment.
Yeah, we don't have any registered. speakers.
No registered speakers, okay. We'll skip on down to public comment. Do we have anyone?
Yes. Mr. Bunn?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Bunn, please come to the podium. Introduce yourself, please, and let us know your address.
I'm Isaac Bunn. My address is 128 and a half, Jim Way, Braddock, PA. 15104.
Thank you.
I'm here just to, which I'm sure some of you know, I'm requesting a backpacks waiver on my, on one of the properties that I have. I've been a dedicated tax-paying member of the district for most of my adult life. And the company that's coming in that I'm negotiating a deal with, is one of the biggest, or maybe one of the, if not one of the largest, fresh produce companies in Pittsburgh. They're moving from, the Strip District to Braddock. And, we've already come to an agreement, which I've left some stuff for you to look at later on. But we've come to an agreement for them to buy the property. And we're just basically asking for the school district to waive the back taxes as an incentive. And as something to help me out as a long-term tax paying resident to help move the deal along. The company's gonna bring in jobs. They're gonna help with my nonprofit to help distribute fresh produce to people who don't need it, or the people who do need it, the people who need it most in the community. And they're just trying to make a presence in the community and to be a good corporate sponsor. As some of you know, and I've emailed a couple of you. I've been informed by the county treasurer and the county executive of Allegheny County that they have no jurisdiction of being able to waive the taxes. They said it's up to the board. So, I'm just hoping that they will be able to take that into consideration and do that to help bring this thing together.
Thank you. Thank you. Marriage? Anyone else register for any other public comment?
Nobody registered
Anybody
online or
online?
in person, no.
All right, moving on along. Policy, so I know 3.1 has the dots, we are not voting on this.
Oh, we're not?
No,
I'm gonna ask Matt how we wanna go about this. So our goal is to try and get these done in 2 months instead of 3 months and dragging them out. So we're looking to do legislative, planning, legislative, get it done in 2 months. So like, really then next week would be either a third reading or second and third
Yeah.
final reading.
That's all supposed to be. This was the second, next week was the third. So we're
Yeah.
not going to vote tonight now?
I think they were thinking that it's just a reading.
Just a reading.
Like, you only have to vote till the end.
Has to be read
Okay.
3 times.
Just has to be read, you only
Just
vote,
one
you
is
don't
the
you don't have to
second.
vote, okay,
This will be the second.
gotcha.
okay,
So
so,
next week will be.
We'll have to actually, I'm sorry, that was my fault.
No, it's not your fault. You and I, that's me.
Okay.
So.
I think if you refresh your screen, you will see that the little dots are.
okay, let me refresh it.
Did you take them off?
I did not.
I did.
Oh.
He did.
Okay.
So I put
He's
them-
pretty fancy about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you take them off before and I put them back on? Cause that did happen. It was missing on one and I,
All right,
like when you guys
So-
were in executive.
next week, we will be looking for approval of the second reading of the policy revisions listed and attached. Part of the PSBA policy maintenance review. 3.2 will be seeking approval of the second reading of the retirement of the following policies. Part of the PSBA policy maintenance review. And 3.3, next week, we will be seeking approval of the second reading of policy 309.1 telework. We will seek going to board matters. 4.1, we will be seeking approval for the following: the May 7th, 2025 committee meeting minutes. The May 14th, 2025 agenda setting meeting. And the May 21st, 2025 legislative meeting minutes.
Just one question. So in the actual agenda item, it has recommended action. It says September and all of those, and that would say May.
I didn't upload them yet, so I probably didn't change it. I'll update it for next week when you vote.
Okay,
Like we roll that forward
yeah.
and then I reword it.
I see.
Thank you. Bobby.
Thank you.
Thank you. 4.4 and 4.5, we will be voting on tonight. So 4.4, I'm gonna seek a motion in a second to approve, to accept the letter of intent for the purchase of property at 531 Jones Avenue, Reddick, PA, by Heritage Community Initiative.
I'll make that motion.
Griffin seconds.
Thank you for that.
I'm learning something about AI.
Yeah, I like that. Your Belleville's a little easier to pick out.
I'd just like to make a couple comments, everybody, in support of this. I want to applaud Jill for putting together the numbers to help us understand if this makes sense financially. There's no question about that. Second, I'm gonna vote for this because I don't want to see us sitting on another property for years and years and years, because I've seen that happen too often. We have an offer on the table that makes sense, mainly for this reason. When I was at the Braddock Library opening a couple weeks ago and seeing what's been done there, what a shot in the arm for the community. Libraries can be full service now. Across the street, you have the Nia Page Community Center. And now with us transacting this to Heritage, they will now be able to be full service for the community. They will do more for the community than we can imagine us staying here, or whatever else might happen to come in here years down the road, and it would be years down the road. This is gonna happen now. Heritage can move in here, get going and serve the people that they're here to serve. So I just want to share that with everybody, and I'm hopeful that we'll all see it that way too.
Thank you. Anyone else? Before we take the vote, I'm just going to be totally transparent and say this wasn't an easy decision for me. Being a lifetime resident, I kind of seen this a little different, but I can see the bigger picture. And so I'm glad that we have come to this point. And where we can make the decisions we made. And I hope that, you know, to see Heritage continue to do great community work and be an asset to the brighter community, because honestly, that is one of the only reasons that I am in agreement with this tonight.
I'd like to thank Mr. Belmont and Ms. Regan for all the work they did on this. They answered a lot of questions, and they made it clear to us, and I think they made a good presentation, and it's a good deal.
Thank you.
And I know there's questions about the central office. We have a plan in place, thanks to Greg and Danny over there. And I enjoy coming out here. I even said I would have missed this place, but financially, for the long-term benefit of the district, it don't make sense. So, but yeah, I appreciate the work that's been put in on this.
A lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, so.
And I just want to add, because I know that not everybody that's at this meeting might have been at the last meeting when we discussed this, but the administrative offices will then move to some empty space at the back of the high school.
Yes. And then, yeah, we're blocked off. It's a nice setup over there. A lot of school districts, many school districts have their admin offices in the high schools. So I like it out here, but it's the right thing to do.
Kelly, would you be so kind as to call the vote, please?
Online voting is now open. Closing online voting. Motion passes 8-0 with 1 abstention. That's a word. I'm abstaining. Can you please spell that out? You're abstaining.
It's not, it's a word now.
It's a word now. Kelly made it up.
Well, it is a word, but it's not what you think it is.
Math is my language.
So 4.5, we seek approval of the contract with Stone Mile Contracting for the phase of renovation for the Swissvale Library project.
So
Griffin seconds.
We don't have to say anything anymore, she's on.
So, Dr. Kate, I want to tell you congratulations. Your hard work and dedication has paid off. This is what perseverance looks like. Been a soldier for the library, and as a true Swissvale, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
we
Thank you.
open up the votes, Kelly, please.
Online voting is now open.
Can I just say the camera's freaking me out?
I don't,
Yes.
I don't like it.
Closing online
I
voting.
don't like it. I liked it when it was just the boom.
Yeah.
I don't need the focus.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
I couldn't even get congratulations.
It's been a while. I want to thank Dr. Wilson, Ms. Reagan, Dr. Lutzig, and also Mr. Rakunas for meetings recently and for a lot of work for the last several years, for you for jumping into this now and having it work. For us going nose to nose and head to head recently and coming up with something that really does work for all of us. This is the first phase. This is $1 million part of the project. Our contract, I want to thank Peter Kuzmeyer, who's been our architect for 3 years, stayed with us with the ups, the downs, the changes, and Stone Mile Construction. They have stayed with us for a year, and they could have said, forget it, it's too complex. And or too hard to get there, but they didn't. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who voted unanimously for this. And I can hardly cope. Thank you.
We got you.
I didn't even know.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would thank Jill and Eddie. Jill and Eddie put a lot of time and effort in this. A lot of good questions, a lot of deep questions last week. A lot of tough, you got Bruce pretty good in that, but there was, and we appreciate your insight as well, to get this turned around. But I know because they've been part of the process for a long time and I've only got the tail end of it. So thanks for the deep questions, the thought process, and making sure that we're also protecting, our finances as well throughout this process.
So, Dr.
That
Wilson,
curriculum,
I'm gonna pass the mic for her.
everybody.
Thank you for your hard work and dedication as well on that library project. You took me to my grant, my very first.
Look,
library
right? And you
grant.
got us double the money. For anybody that was not at the meeting, which it was just me, Kate, and Dr. and Ms. Lawson. We asked for $400,000 from RAD and they gave us $800,000 based on what Ms. Lawson said. So we are appreciative to you, Ms. Lawson, for the work that you did on it. And I can't reiterate enough. Ms. Regan and I did all the due diligence. Does any taxpayers wondering about money for the library and what is and isn't being spent? We got every penny itemized. So I'm grateful that Kate was patient with us and that y'all were patient with us.
Yes.
Curriculum 6.1, we seek approval to renew our partnership with Carnegie Museum of Art for the 2025-2026 school year.
Thank you for answering my question.
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Eddie, Dr. Wilson, I have one question about this. I was just looking at gosh darn it, I lost it. There it is. All the things that this entails, looks amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Is it for specific grade levels, specific
It is available to
classes or classes?
any educators that ask for it. So we have, for the last 5 years, we've had 2 to 4 educators going to the summer fellowship. We've had any classroom that asks for a docent to come in, they'll have folks come in. Anybody that wants to go to the CMOA, this pays for all of their expenses except for transportation, which we cover. So and then they do tons of professional learning, tons of workshops with our educators. They do, at times they have done art therapy with our educators, all kinds of just really great things. And this is a partnership that wouldn't have been possible without ESSER funding in 2020 when COVID hit. And we were looking for all kinds of partners to help us out. And then we actually went to the CMOA this year and said, ESSER funding is gone. We don't know if we can pay for this $10,000 partnership we've had for the last 5 years. And they said, well, what if we whittled it down? And they whittled it down, they sharpened their pencils, and we're grateful to the Carnegie Museum of Art for that.
That is awesome. And just one last question. Is it just for the Art and Natural History Museum, or is it for also the Science Center and the War?
So this is just for the Carnegie Museum of Art.
Cool. It's awesome though. It's amazing. That's such a wonderful resource.
Any more questions on that? Okay, 6.2 is seek approval to send the math department chair to the advanced placement Summer Institute Conference this summer. This is specifically in preparation for further expansion of our AP programs. As y'all have heard me say, we offer as many or more AP classes as any other school district in all of Allegheny County, including the top, well, 3 of the top 10 are in Allegheny County for the state, and we still offer as many or more than they do. And so our hope is with sending the department chair to this APSI conference and getting all the information about AP pre-calc, that we'll be able to offer AP pre-calc in the fall of 26.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Right?
so yeah, that's what she says. That's what she says.
I will also name, just as a proud papa, we've got our first 10th grade AP course happening this coming year. And I've got a daughter who'll be in our first AP 10th grade course, but students in grades 10, 11, and 12 will be able to take college credit courses in our high school, which is a huge, huge deal.
Nice, nice.
6.3, we seek permission to ratify additional summer curriculum writing postings for a cost not to exceed $700 per person. This happens every single year. You go back in the minutes from the last 5 years, you'll see I asked for some curriculum writing in May, and then the teachers see that there's curriculum writing and they're like, oh, wait, but I also need to revamp this course, or we need to, so for example, we need to plan for the math intervention at Dixon. We haven't done that yet. And so then we add a few more in June. That's all that's happening. So y'all had approved several back in May, and these are just some additional ones for June that we hadn't thought of.
So
Go ahead.
my only question, I know from yesterday, we talked in great length. You have one on here for PSSA, Keystone Data Analyst and Planning. Can you tell me more? What does that entail, or what is that going to look like?
Absolutely. So, I'm not going to take the time to share my screen, but actually some of that's already even been done, before the board voted, but Ms. Bear and Ms. Coles are the instructional coaches at the middle school and the high school. And then, we'll hopefully get one more additional teacher to look at the elementary level data. But Ms. Bear's already put together a full PowerPoint based on the very, very raw and unanalyzed data that we got Friday. And so this is just to look at the data, look at it across grade levels, across ethnicities, across genders, across kids with IEPs, without IEPs, see where we're doing well, where we're struggling, and how we can continue to do better.
This is gonna come across as a comment, not a question.
All right.
But having been to our graduation and seen our students become scholars, because I count them as scholars when they have graduated, the amazing things that they've done, and the variety of things that they did and are doing, and so much is being done by our Woodland Hills students. It bothers me that people's opinion of us is narrowed down, whittled down to our scores on some tests.
Amen.
And that I see that we are looking at math, predominantly working on math, and I hope that that will help. Even though our kids are doing much more than just passing math, science, math, biology, and English tests.
Say sure.
I'm glad that they are addressing ways to make that easier for our students to succeed in math. As someone who never succeeded in a math class, I hope for them.
Well, and as we spoke about at comprehensive planning yesterday, whether or not you got proficient or advanced on your 7th grade math PSSA does not tell me whether or not you can be successful in life. Right, and our goal is not to make sure that our kids are proficient or advanced on PSSA or Keystone. Our goal is to make sure that they get to choose how they define success, and then walk through any door that they want to walk through. And so that is our goal. Part of that, though, is making sure that they're academically ready and that they're academically competitive with all their peers across the U.S.
I would just say, thank you, because I think that we do want them to be proficient, of course, right?
Yes,
But we
course.
recognize that people come in and enter at their own, where they are, and we meet them where they are, which I think is great, and what we saw at graduation. You may have already, and I don't know if you did this before, but I think of like cycles, like when a teacher, is it something that a teacher says, hey, I think you said, a teacher says, hey, I need to relook at this, revamp. Is it based on their input, or do you say, hey, it's time through this cycle that we look at this particular?
So COVID messed up our cycles. There used to be 6-year cycles, and we were on 6-year cycles for every department. And then when COVID hit, we kind of said, ooh, let's hit the reset and just do all of them right now.
Okay.
But we're finding out, and I'm realizing we can't just recycle all of them every 6 years. So we are creating a tiered
Yes.
cycle for how we look at curriculum. These are those specifically, these aren't from individual teachers, these are from department chairs.
Okay.
So I've asked department chairs to meet with all the teachers in their department to say, what do they need? And I had several department chairs that were able to get back to me before May. I was able to put those in, but then between May and June, several department chairs said, oh, I forgot to name this one. And actually, even just a couple weeks ago, I had a principal, say, oh, I forgot this one. I was like, well, can't really, yep, we missed that one, but this is what we got for right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
And then 6.4, we seek approval to partner with the Invite Institute to send up to 12 educators to the annual CSTA conference. That's the Computer Science Teachers Association Conference, July 9th through 11th, with a cost not to exceed $15,000. I attached the flyer there. This is actually something that came to us a little bit later than we probably would have preferred. But Dr. Maya Israel in University of Southern Florida, who has worked with us in the past around AI, robotics, and kids with IEPs and ensuring that they get their accommodations and modifications. She also works with the Invite Institute, and they were able to then offer up to 20 scholarships total to teachers in Southwestern PA. And so we were just getting that information a couple of weeks ago, wanted to make sure we get it on. We don't even have the full list of teachers selected yet. We put out an email to any educators who might be interested, and I've received 3 back so far that said they'd be interested in going. This one, I know Dr. Allen Thomas, last time we sent folks to a summer conference, we also paid them a stipend. We won't be doing that this time. These are just folks that are volunteering their time that say, this is important to me. We'll pay for their travel. Invite will pay for their fees to get to the conference, and that'll be it. Okay. Any other questions on that?
If I do,
Yes, ma'am.
well, how did you come up with the number 12?
So we're sharing them in all of Southwestern PA. So Dr. Israel said, I have 20 and I want to prioritize Woodland Hills because she's worked with us. And so we said, well, why don't we take 12 and then you work with, she's working, Dr. Castagna has brought her work over to Chartreuse Valley. There are several other AIU districts that are working with Dr. Israel and the University of Southern Florida. So we said we will happily take 12. And then if we don't use all 12, we'll say we were only able to fill 6. And then I'm sure other teachers across the region will use them. But we wanted to lay claim to 60% of the 20 that we're offering.
Will that count towards their continuing education credits?
It will, yes, ma'am. I get Act 48 for that.
How many?
They Act 48. I don't know how many credits, but they'll get.
It will count towards that.
And it's 3 days worth of conference, so I would assume probably 24 credits.
Probably.
I don't think it's Act 45, Dr. Melishner. We'll work on that a different way. I got you. Any other questions on that?
Is that a conference that would be done specifically for computer science teachers or people just like in that general?
So anyone in that, as a matter of fact, Bill Wilson, who's an elementary teacher at Wilkins, wrote to me. He was the first person to say, I'd really like to go to this because it's any educator that's interested in incorporating computer science in the classroom in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So there'll be educators from all content, all grade levels, just trying to think about the future of education and the future for our kids and making sure that they are successful, and what they're gonna need when they graduate high school. We do have our Aaron Miner, who's our biggest computer science teacher, who teaches most kids. He's also wanting to go, so we'll have both. Anybody else? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Ms. Boyd, personnel.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Personnel, 9.1, section B, authorization for retirement, Resignations. Section D, authorization to hire non-professional staff. Section F, authorization for EDR mentor actions. And section G, authorization for miscellaneous. If there's any questions, we would have to adjourn to executive session. Are there any questions? Oh, I believe Ms. Pazuki, you had a question, so that can be answered in public,
Oh, okay.
unless you don't anymore.
Okay. No, absolutely. So, I had a question about, the, curriculum writing.
Yes.
Or is section G, number 17. That there are 5 positions for, 5 positions at 20 hours each. $35 an hour for curriculum rating for Vex/STEM. My screen didn't load, so I don't actually know if that's what it said.
Back 17, 5, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, and so my question was that I feel as though we should have a written Vex curriculum already. Because we have been paying for a consultant to be writing one.
So he doesn't write the curriculum, he helps us with strategic planning and professional development. We have this, Ms. Dietrich asked for these as part of our STEAM strategic planning, reported out on last month. So we have our 1, 3, and 5 year plans. I've got a team coming on Tuesday to continue to talk about how we're gonna meet our strategic goals for the strategic plans. And then we also have an AI, computer science and robotics STEAM initiative that she wants to start. And so need folks to help write that scope and sequence. But that was Ms. Dietrich asked for those.
Okay. I will go back and look at the consultant contract, but I swear to God, this, we should have had a curriculum written for the amount of money we've spent. Think about that, thank you.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
9.2, personnel. We seek approval of 1-year contract extension between Woodland Hills School District and Substitute Teaching Service, Inc., STS. And the contract should be attached.
And that was the people that made that wonderful presentation.
Oh, no, that was a different company, as I was explaining in exec session. Those were people who were exploring and the possibility that next year we go with any.
Okay, this is a different group.
This is the same group that we have
Same group, yeah, sorry.
Those other people were.
currently.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Questions? Thank you, thanks.
Thank you. Technology. Mr. Roth.
Yeah. All right, good evening, everyone. We have 2 tabs for technology this evening. One is, first one is 10.1. We seek approval to reinstate our district-wide movie licensing and digital streaming services through Snipe Movie Licensing USA via the IU-17 group purchase. The total cost will be $56.04 annually. Any questions?
So my question is, why did we previously cancel and now trying to reinstate? What was the issue for that?
That's a very good question. I am not totally sure why it went or lapsed. It might have been an error, or we might have stopped streaming or prevented the movie nights. This is kind of like things like movie nights and
I think
anything
the
that's
contract
they stream in
expired.
classrooms.
Contract expired in December, and I think we didn't really.
I think it's maybe, I think it was like it lapsed and then we missed the email that said renew.
Yeah.
So we are renewing.
So, my understanding is that but the 1 year that we did have that, the movie licensing contract was the only year that we had a district-wide movie licensing contract, was my understanding. So, I think that maybe it just wasn't renewed because maybe you didn't think we needed it, but, I just wanted to make sure that the message gets out to all of our buildings and educators and everybody that this licensing agreement exists so that they can use the whole library of.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I know
right.
that they plan to use it at the Impact Center.
Right.
As well.
Yeah,
Impact
think
center's
that's
not
what
on
it
it.
is. Well, yeah, it was, yeah, well, and so then last time I brought up that, that the PTAs have just purchased a single use when you're having one, like, a movie night. Just a single use license, and I looked into it a little further, that's not available for an institution like this, so.
Cause I think my question just is that we have the schools listed, and I know we heard impact center, but they're not on here. But then we're looking at, is this going off of the student numbers at each of these buildings, and that's why the cost is varying, like, oh, we try to just understand, if we're saying it's for one. For the library, I don't know why we would put it in all five, if all five are not using or have not used it. If it's for the impact center, this should only be for the impact center.
This is not specifically for the impact center, but it's based off of student enrollment. So we should be able to use this at any of our buildings.
We'll be able to use it as the impact center too.
That's my understanding.
But there's no enrollment there, so how do we pay for that?
This is a district building, I presume.
So we're not buying by school, they took the total of the number of students
License
that we have to
district-wide.
get their whole licensing.
Based off of enrollment, yes.
So, and this covers,
This is not just for
Sorry.
like
Right.
during school day, this is.
I got you. So this will cover our school buildings within the district. Well, the only one that we have, which is the impact center.
Actually, so it's covering the children.
That's my understanding.
So it's the number of children off, obviously.
So the way a lot of licensing works is not based off of like what buildings you have or physical things, it's how many students you have to enroll. So like when we have our student information system, we pay for that based off of student enrollment. Everything software based or even cloud based is usually based off of student enrollment. That's how they derive their numbers off of for their licensing fees.
So we just had the impact center listed on the contract, because I don't want us to sign it, pay for it, and then they say, oh, you didn't list this additional building.
But they're not going by building, they're going by children, and they just listed it by the
Yeah.
number of children that we reported to them.
Yeah, I don't
Right,
think the
so I-
contract restricts.
Somewhere can it
Disclaimer,
say?
that's-
Exactly, because I don't want us to go through this and just.
It includes every building.
Certainly reach out to the company and.
Yeah.
Just put it.
I'm saying that's
Exactly.
a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, yeah, something even at the
No, I
bottom.
definitely, it makes total sense to
Yeah.
make sure that if they're going
Because
to
of
have a
our
licensing
name.
agreement,
Right.
it needs to state that all our.
It does say additional students and or buildings can affect price estimate, so you need to talk to them about that.
So very good point, we'll address
But in
that.
theory, those are our kids anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
the same kids.
Generally, they won't.
I mean, you're
raise prices.
really only gonna say that this includes Woodland Hills
Right,
impact.
Exactly.
Anywhere in the
That's all.
because truly,
Yes.
you could use it at the Wolf Arena if you wanted to, have, you know, honestly, like.
Right.
Put a movie up down there or something like that, Kate could probably use it at the library, like, so you wanna put that down. It's any properties that the district owns.
And he's not charging money for those.
Yeah, I think that- like that, because I don't want us to do it, and then randomly somebody come and see the Wolverine, and they're like, oh, well, they didn't put this in the contract, and then here we are doing like, just to make sure we just clearly say all buildings that are owned by Woodland Hills School District, i.e. impact center, library.
Yeah, to include just some kind of
Yeah.
language, a blanket language that is covering all of the Woodland Hills facilities in the district.
Absolutely, I'll reach out to the company
Yeah,
this
good call.
evening and then tomorrow morning and have them.
And then
Dropping it down.
Never know.
then,
It's always in-
ain't nothing beats a failure but a try, if they say that.
At least go there.
Right.
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. And then 10.2, we seek approval for residency verification services through Civic Bell at annual cost of $37.50. Questions on that?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, so Civic is a new company, and it's a new service. We were coincidentally discussing this internally about how we were going to handle residency verifications because it can get quite tedious. So I found this company that's based out of California. They were using their software for another purpose, and they found a market for this in education. And they're still generating interest among the education community. And what they do is they basically do like a baseline residency check based off of your cell phone number, address, and a name. So you give them 3 pieces of information and they verify whether or not that residency matches the information you gave them. This is for when we enroll students, and especially ones that are, have questionable, I guess, residency.
This will also help making sure that the kids that are saying that they're going to charter schools, if they live here, actually live here.
Right, and it's often difficult to do these checks because we don't have an actual system other than calling people up and having our social workers show up and try to find them and see if they're actually living in the places where they're living. So this will actually give us kind of insight into things before, so we can escalate if we need to later.
Am I correct? I'm telling
I don't know,
you,
there's supposed to be another.
that quote is on
And they're not
for the
that-
movie.
No, there is.
Okay.
It's on here for the movie.
It's for the movie.
That's just
I'm
an
like,
error.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Just move that.
The movie
quote
quotes
off.
on the.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
I thought it
Instead
was.
of 10.
Twice.
No, it's just the movie quotes. But the Civic Bell's on there too, right?
Yeah.
They're both on there. Yeah.
Okay, they're on the same one.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Peter's
I will-
just on the-
I was wondering why I didn't see the quote on the other one.
Man, that would be-
I thought it was me.
It's there too. It's in both places.
Okay.
We thought you were trying to get our attention, seeing if we were paying. And we are.
Testing everybody.
Or any other questions then?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Food service and transportation. Mr. Garrett.
Everybody else is working on things, they're not. fun.
Just one.
Yeah, just.
Evening,
Yeah.
So I have three things tonight. One's for food service and then two of them are for transportation. So we'll go through them one by one. The first one, 12.1, we seek approval of the updated a la carte pricing and adult meal pricing for the 25-26 school year. The adult meal pricing is regulated by the USDA. So we just have things recent, and then the a la carte prices, you'll see on the list there, a couple of things went up by a couple of cents, just the way the world is right now, prices are increasing for everything, so.
None of this is impacted by, the government reduction in
Not as,
feeding our children.
not as of right now. Yeah, right now, fingers crossed, everything's kind of status quo. So I'm hoping it stays that way.
This is what the kids buy with the change they find under the couch.
When they asked the parents for $5,
Yeah.
they got chips for the girlfriends.
It was funny and got back. Down.
Okay, so now this might be one of the craziest questions.
Yeah.
What is an adult? Like, is this for teachers adult?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, for any
okay,
adult.
just wanted to be clear. 'cause I'm like,
I thought it every day. It was way.
I'm like,
easier.
is our students over 18?
I have an account. You go, you just take your money out.
I do have a question now that we're talking about adult food. Especially like in the high school, if students wanted to purchase an additional serving of something, how do you calculate that? Like if they want additional french fry, if they want additional chicken wing or, well.
So each meal is like, we get reimbursed from the state based upon each meal. It's supposed to be one meal per
Right.
student. And they have all their components for that individual meal. We had some issues with students taking additional meals. And I think that has kind of been addressed.
Okay.
But it's really just based off of one individual meal per student.
And
But
then
it's on the a la carte list, so like
Yeah,
if they
anything.
want a main entree and an extra main entree, it's $2.50. If they want a pizza, it's $2.50, so they can, yeah.
Right.
So they go back to the a la
Yeah.
carte, anything
Yeah.
after that tray. Okay,
Yep.
that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't.
And then my second question, well, comment, recommendation.
Yeah.
Situation, is to ensure that we are providing meals that we're not, how can I say, we're not only making 100 of this item when it runs out, children have no other option but option C, which is something they don't like.
Yeah.
So they're able to just say, it's breakfast day, and they don't like breakfast, or they're allergic to something, that they're able to purchase something different that's more
Yeah.
affordable. Like, I know people have special dietary needs and things like that, and I know we can't accommodate everyone, but how do we begin to look at it? People that can't, are lactose intolerant, they can't have dairy, they can't have this or that, they want them to go starving.
Yeah.
So how do they, maybe piece together a meal or something that you're only getting reimbursed for one meal?
Yeah, so we have, there's different ways the state classifies it, but we have, we do what's called offer versus serve.
Yeah,
So what that means is we offer a variety of foods for students rather than just say, okay, here's the meal today, like when we were all in school, here's the meal today, here's what you gotta eat, that's it. We have a plethora of options for students. And the nutrition group, Kylie, you guys
Yeah.
have met her. she's phenomenal.
They just egg whites up there.
Well, I know, like in middle school, sometimes they will run out of pizza.
Oh, okay.
Stuff with, oh, now you got
Hot dogs,
chicken
yeah.
nuggets,
Okay.
or, you know, with Edgewood didn't have a kitchen, so when it was out of chicken wings or pizza, only thing left would be peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of,
I can talk to Kylie about that, just to
Yeah.
ensure.
so maybe before it was like, pick the number she was planning around
Mhm.
ordering.
Yeah, to make sure we don't have too much.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Exactly.
I can talk to her about that, so.
That's it for me.
Okay. The next two are for transportation. 12.2, we seek approval of the contract with Allegheny Transportation Services for ancillary bus run services for the 25-26 school year. This is not gonna be a replacement of our main contractor for a student. This is gonna be, kind of like we did with Myers previously. They came in and took over, different overflow runs that we have, just to ensure that all of our students get to and from school safely and efficiently.
Great.
So I have just one question.
Yes.
Mr. Reed. So are we keeping all of the other contractors as well?
So that is the plan. So what we want to do is we're focusing on who provides the best service for our students. And we've had the opportunity to use several different contractors. And we're finding who provides the best service. And I've taken a look at all of the questions, concerns, complaints, everything that we've received this school year. And we're gonna reallocate some runs based upon those concerns and the issues that we've had. So,
So we just so for clarification, we will have 6 bus contractors?
Yes.
Separate.
yeah, we'll have 6 open contracts. And then the last thing, 12.3, we seek approval of the amendment to the contract with First Student, their division First Call regarding services for student transportation, special needs children. This amendment adds the use of cameras in the vans for safety and security. First Call, I believe I've discussed a little bit before, there's a division of First Student. They handle a lot of our McKinney-Vento, foster care, students living out of district, far away. They handle those kind of things. And this is just a standardized, we want to make sure all the vehicles are going to have cameras, internal for the students and external. Just like a dash cam, so it'll cover everybody and protect everybody.
Just no audio.
Right,
Right.
Okay,
just like the big buses.
Yeah.
Okay.
we may have to add a policy on that. I feel like there was one that came out, but there was no outside cameras, so we would not do.
They're on the buses now.
Okay, maybe I'm mixed up.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
Have a good evening.
Good idea. Next up. Next the bridge, buildings and grounds. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, it's smell.
How's everyone? I don't think this is actually working. We're using the off night. Everybody's adjusting this.
That is working.
It's working.
Okay, I thought he said that he was using the owl because we didn't have the sound.
Excellent.
Nice, very nice. Thank you, Graham. Buildings and grounds 13.1, we seek approval for the June facility usage. 13.2, we are seeking approval for the flooring moisture mitigation work at Edgewood. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Sure, you wanna go.
I'll still back on Palooza, but I'll catch up.
Okay.
For moisturizing, so
We have, if we don't have a vapor barrier between the basement floors, they will not warrant the flooring and it'll all come up. When they poured the concrete several years ago, they didn't put any kind of moisture barrier between the earth and the concrete. So this is actually good and also help mitigate any kind of moisture and any kind of mold or mildew. So, any other questions or concerns?
We appreciate the $18,000.
Yeah, I started enough.
Love that.
So right now, no one's utilizing the high school football, where we have graduation.
No one's-
They're utilizing
It's
it.
called that's called the soccer field?
Yeah.
Yeah, the soccer track, yeah, they're utilizing it.
That's what I'm, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely, that was just closed for the setup for graduation and the tear down.
Soccer team
I have-
up there.
Okay.
Fran.
We,
Did the Wolverine sustain any damage? from being
Nothing of any significance. We got a couple gentlemen down there Saturday morning. And they cleaned up all the storm drains, got a lot of the heavy sticks and debris off in the field and off the storm drains. And it made its way into the buildings, but didn't cause any damage to any property. Yeah, it was lucky.
So.
And I actually-
Big shout out to the maintenance crew.
Oh, yes,
Really,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, Benjamin and Jesse, one of the custodians. No, that's the only two people that came out. I called every maintenance man. Nobody else was.
So Ben and Jesse.
That's it.
Well, good for Ben and Jesse.
Yes.
For Dr. Maluchnik, myself and Adam Forgy, all going to a council meeting in Monroe and raising a little bit of, you know,
King.
to try to see if they could do something for their storm management, because our storm management took 2 years just to put a baseball field in, and this is a whole community of Monroe that just floods our town all the time. So, it's in the works. We're gonna definitely make a trip to one of their council meetings. Anything else, folks? Might do something.
Danny?
Thank you.
Pulling down the, school finance. Thank you, Danny.
Welcome.
Okay, 17.1 is the June bill list. Questions on that? I don't see it. Yes, there it is. 17.2 is the ratification bill list. The big one. 17.3 is the Forbes CTC is taking a bond issuance for 2025 bond issuance. So what they do is they have to have all the participating districts sign off on this. So that's what that is. They're asking for us to sign off on it so they can get their bond. They are not taking a TAN this year, which is a tax anticipation note. They're doing this in lieu of the tax anticipation note. So I guess they have other projects that need done.
Yeah, they really need a lot of stuff immediately. Just going back to 17.1 and 2.
Sure.
I said one quick question.
Okay.
I don't think I understand how the moonshot grant works, because it's in there in 2 ways where we're like giving money out to other districts.
That's me. There, right on back.
I didn't know.
so we're gonna first discuss our beginning of year to end of year map data presentation. It'll only take about an hour and a half, and then we grant. Yeah, exactly. You know how we do. No, the Moonshot Grant, created the Unified Robotics League. The Unified Robotics League invited a dozen school districts to be a part of Unified Robotics. As part of that, each of them submitted a budget to us to pay for their transportation, their coaches, their robotics fields, etc. So that then when they wrapped up their year, we were able to then pay them for the costs of being a part of the league. So we got the larger pot of money from Remake Learning, and then we just divvied it up amongst the different districts that are part of the league.
How much was that again?
35,000.
Did you apply already for, did you get the second one? Is that, the one you're talking about is the one you just received
That's right.
right now, where you have to put in another final submission of what you're talking about or what you're asking for as well?
In December, yes. No, so
There's one that just came out that you had to, they awarded in May. And I'm saying, did you apply for another one?
we did not apply for another.
Okay, that's, so you're referring to what you already had
Yes.
and how we're expending. Okay.
We did apply for the PA Smart Grant. We did
Okay.
not get that.
Okay. But this is still good. The moonshot is a big deal as well, so.
They're doing good stuff. For sure.
And the nice thing about the grants, they are specific, like you have to say what you're gonna spend it on to. So-
Yeah, sure.
Very. Thank you, Eddie.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Go ahead, Jill.
Okay, we're down to 17.4. So this is the insurance package rates. Gallagher, went with one company. We had, and I think they said that in their presentation when they were here. that they were going to go with the same region for everything, which they really felt that that would save us, money, and in the end, it was, about $150,000 savings,
I see.
yeah, which is
Great.
yeah, it's really
And
good.
our cover, and the questions I asked was coverage and deductibles. Coverage is better,
Yes,
deductibles stay the same.
yes. If you see the, under Sam Regent, under property, you'll see that they went to 25 million for earthquake and movement. You know, in anywhere in Allegheny County, there's mines and subsidence and movement everywhere, so.
Yeah.
Especially since we still own West Junior High or whatever you wanna call it, which is on shaky ground to begin with.
Yes, so, you know,
Sorry.
so that, was a better deal, and there was something else that went from 1 million to 5 million. Right now, I can't find it. They explained it to me. Oh, no, it's the blanket real and personal property, it's the main thing, it went from 100 million to 500 million for the policy limit, so. It not only did it go down in price, but we got, quite a large increase. They felt that when they walked around the buildings and, Mr. Bridge was kind enough to do what he does, you know, take everybody everywhere, they felt that, to save money or get us where we could afford it last year, we were also hurting ourselves by lowering the amount of coverage that we had, so, so it went well, you know, we're happy with what Gallagher has brought us, and this is it.
One question, Jill, so under, on the second page at the bottom under premium, they have highlighted 5 million vacant building. What building are they talking about?
Great.
Second page,
Oh, I see.
down,
Included in property.
yeah, it says including property, so which building are they considering vacant? Is that gonna be the West Building?
Don't say that. Oh, down here?
It's in yellow.
Yeah.
Second page.
It's, that was 5 million that we paid for the vacant building last year. That was Shape.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but I did tell them, so we won't get the money back. So we will actually have more of a savings than this when we get the money back for this building, but until the 90 days and everything's signed, so we'll keep this building until at least October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at that point, I'll call them and say we no longer have
Yeah, this
it.
building in
Yeah.
1896.
Yes, then they'll set us. Yes,
Cyber on the same page,
okay,
coverage options, cyber, is that cyber schools, like with cyber?
cyber, security.
Cyber.
Yes, it's a
Okay.
policy for cybersecurity. Yeah, so if we get hacked. We have,
So is that, I know, if I remember correctly, last year when we were talking about that, the insurance that we were paying was as high as it was because we had been attacked before.
Yes.
And thus we had the, our rate was higher. Are we seeing a lower amount of this, or is this
Yeah.
about the same? So
It's
we're
lower.
getting a savings there as well.
yes, yep.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, okay, 17.5 is the lease, so this is a renewal lease with the Swissville Borough for the rental space at West Junior High, that's the police station that they have over there. We met with Mr. Batchy from Swissvale. When we did the original agreement years ago, they were only supposed to be in there for 12 months, they've been there 2.5 years now. But he did say that they are moving like good now with their own building and with their funds and everything, so, but he does anticipate being in there at least 1 more year. Now, the lease is for 2 years, and we did that only in case they roll over, you know, but then, but he's fingers crossed that they'll be up and running in a year, and, but what, Dr. Malushnik has also, I think, shared with all of you, but you've already been thinking it, during this next year, while they're in there, is when you need to start to think about what you want to do with that building. Yeah, and so, but they did raise the rent for us so that we're not paying the utility bill in full, and we raised the rent for, Myers Transportation as well, so the two companies that are using the building are paying for, yeah, like 85% of it, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah. 17.6. Oh, okay, this is a big one. There's the general fund budget. That's the package that's in the format that you have to put in for PDE. And then I had Kelly add the final transportation, but for some reason I couldn't open, or final presentation. I couldn't open it, but I did open it. Greg, if you wanna pop it up there, and I can. So the first thing I didn't do is change the date, so I messed that up. Yeah, so it's no longer May 14th, and it's now June 11th, so whoops. But okay, so the second slide is, that is our total revenue. You can see our local revenue is always the highest. State revenue, that is still with all of the governor's money that he is still promising right now, because they are not changing it as of now. You never know. Last year they changed it in October. But and the federal dollars, Eddie and I are crossing fingers, toes, everything, and so far they're saying that it's status quo for next year. So far, that's what they're saying, for at least next year. And then our capital layout, that 3 million is dollars that are always set aside to help pay for the debt service payment. So that's our total revenue. Then salaries, benefits, or salaries, health insurance, social security, retirement, tuition, unemployment and workers' comp. Then the retirees and others. For the retirees, those are, so basically total salaries and benefits are a little over 57,000. Or 57 million, yeah, I wish it was 57,000. Almost 57.5 million for our people, yeah. Oh my God. And the rest of the expenses are 60 million. So you can see that our salaries and benefits are almost 50%. They're about 48% of our total budget. And then total of other expenses. And that is part of that special ed. The main number in that special ed is the tuition that we pay to charter schools for special ed students. So that is a huge number, but we all know that, you know. So I kind of put them in order down to, you know, and that includes anything and everything you can think of: pencils, pens, toilet paper, the phone systems, you know. But that special ed number is larger than regular because of the cyber charter tuition.
I'd like to follow up on that too. Expenses, 60 million, the rest of it, you're setting aside the salaries and everything. Almost half of that 60 million is charter schools.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let our public know that it's a large expense
Yes,
in
it
their
is.
budget.
Yep. So then when we go down to, there's your total salaries, total benefits, total district-wide, your total expenditures are 117 million, 117.5. But we are just under 2 million in the deficit. And that is because a month ago we were a little bit over, but because of the insurance coming down, we are now a little bit under. So we're going the right direction at least. And then Dr. Malushnik and has basically told the team, we're gonna look this whole year for adjustments that possibly could come from attrition from the employees at this point, or anything else. No programs were cut. As far as like the students in the high school, we didn't do anything that, none of the extracurriculars, nothing like that. We didn't touch any of that. And we're just gonna ask everybody to do their due diligence, think before you spend, and we'll go from there. And use this whole year to try to regroup and, yeah, pull it all together. Yeah, good decision. Yes. Yep. I can send you the one that I did in May too, because it's a little bit longer. Okay, I can send it to you, yeah.
And then Joe, can you just send an email of the programs that we did
Yes.
have to take away?
Yeah,
We talked about before, we just spoke about last month.
yeah, and that was, that's a Dr. White decision.
Yeah.
She was to-
She's like, bring us
to
our
that, yes.
Yeah, what,
Yes.
to present.
Yes.
Stuff, what she has and what she thinks should go, yeah, good luck with that, is that perfect?
17.7.
Your 17.7 is the May P card report. Any questions about anything on that?
I can tell you that the one P card is not on there and has not come in the mail yet. It comes very borderline with getting it on the 24-hour period.
Oh, you mean the whole thing?
Yeah, like the
It will be
actual
by next
physical
week, you
bill.
know, the whole thing.
Borderline to getting it on here in the mail. So it should be on my next meeting.
So I'm gonna bring up what I think we could talk about. With the P cards, I would really like to see a document created that outlines exactly what parameters the usage of the P cards should be followed. I say that because we're questioning this, what's being spent, on why we're spending it. It's almost like an agreement that you understand you're limited on what you can use this card for. I don't want there to be, any activity that's questionable. So I just think that if we can do something that is attached to it, even if it's always attached to this agenda item as proof that those that have access to this card are under the understanding that there are limitations.
Something
And there are
changed.
parameters that they must follow.
Like in an email a few months back, somebody put out a policy.
Like 2 years ago, we said to everybody like this, and sometimes people do call me, like, and they'll say, what should I do about this? But the rule of thumb is, if you can buy something through the purchase ordering system, then you should. If
I mean,
you
I think-
can do it through the business office, through the purchase ordering,
Correct.
that is 100% what you should do. If there's a company that will not take a purchase order, or like a pizza place or something, obviously, they're not gonna take a purchase order. And getting a check for a pizza, like, on the fly just doesn't happen. So it should be small things like that, or there should be certain things, like I know that Greg, sometimes he'll have to use it to get a particular part for somebody's computer that he needs it the next day, and like, we're doing it that way, so. But a lot of times they'll say, can I do it this way? Should I do it this way? So but we can definitely I think we have it, the parameters. I just have to go back and find it.
Dr. Maluchnik, remember I shared something with you that we were gonna put together,
Yeah,
a policy, and I dropped the ball on that. as
But
well.
it doesn't hurt to go over, because even when we did.
It's like another
first start,
district that they sent out, we were just gonna revamp it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it's just, can we be more proactive in, some of the guidelines for when you're using the card? It can't be 24 hours or asking Jill, like those kind of things. But then also, if you see like large purchases, maybe Jill, you can say, oh, I know you're going to see this $800.
Yeah.
So we don't come to you the next month
Yeah.
and say, well, what did you buy with this? If you already tell us, yes, so-and-so already let me know, they spent $800 on Southwest because of this, whatever.
Sure, and that can be part of the procedures, like they can be part of, if you're gonna go over $250 or something like that, then you need to send a reasoning.
But I have a budget, right?
Yes, absolutely. This isn't extra spending. It all comes out because they fill out their form and write down where it's coming out of their budget. Yeah.
That's all, I know how that works.
Yeah.
I think that will
Right.
even
Yeah.
streamline these conversations.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Especially when all this comes, I'm
I
not.
feel as long as they are accountable to Reagan or Dr. Maluchnik, that's.
I think it's, just to streamline this conversation for that,
So.
it just makes it transparent.
It's not, I'm not trusting somebody, it's just preventing mysteries, that's all.
one doesn't know that.
Yeah, keeping our eyes on.
Yeah,
17.8.
17.8 is just the fund reports for April. We usually do these quarterly, but it's supposed to be done every 3 months, so it's not supposed to go over 3 months. But because we don't have one in July, we don't have a meeting in July to show you April, May, and June. We're showing you April now, and then in August, you'll get May and June. Oh, yeah, just to keep up with it. And then 17.9 is the investment report, just the money's going to be invested.
1921, Terry.
All right, oh, really? Really? 19.1.
She's hungry.
Old business. Old business.
Just mention, Mr. Lund. Stuck on it.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to tax issues, like he said, he went to the county and was told that, the school district has to, he has to come to the school district to get, relief for his taxes, if the school district's gonna do that. And so in some cases, we've been told that if there's back taxes, school taxes, that we're not the ones that, do that. Well, okay, so how, then, if that's the case, if we can't do it, we can't address the school taxes, then the public needs to know exactly where they're supposed to go, exactly how that's supposed to be
Well,
done.
if you go to
Right.
Portnoy, because I'm sure there's a delinquent tax collector sending notices. So that would be between Jordan and Portnoy, especially if they live around here. So when they get that delinquent tax notice, they can reach out to that tax collector and even make a payment arrangement. Something as simple as, that would, help them in that process.
I've
So
also
that's.
seen though, like when a property reaches foreclosure,
Mhm.
it's sort of off the tax rolls at that point because it's foreclosure and nobody's paying the taxes. So when a new owner comes in, I've seen documents from attorneys coming and saying that like this company's gonna buy this property for foreclosure and we would like you to either take 50% of it, the whole thing, and ask for that then, so that then it gets back on the tax rolls. And often the new owner is saying that because they're saying, well, you haven't gotten any taxes for it in all these years because it's foreclosed. So it'll go back on your tax books if you give us a break on this. But I've never seen like an individual come and ask. It's usually a document from the purchaser to the like the seller to the buyer, but usually the seller is the foreclosing agent at that point. But they could do it that way.
So in this case, we would need a letter from Consumer Fresh Produce's attorney.
Yes,
If he hasn't
asking.
sold it yet, and it's not in foreclosure yet, so
Yes,
maybe, do we have to tell him he has to go back to Frank or whoever to say they need to bring something?
yes, yeah,
They may
We have to find out.
pay his taxes.
right. Or that can be part of his agreement with them that they will
Yeah.
pay the back
So,
taxes.
yeah, that's part of their personal agreement still, that doesn't.
That's still between him and the,
Yeah,
and
Is
the.
that-
I mean, we
purchaser.
get
But he never-
multiple
but-
calls on this.
but
So
we
like,
never
we can't,
said anything about.
if we do this, we're gonna be doing it for hundreds of people a year.
Well, that's what I was gonna
And
say.
it's not being on taxes. We get several.
He was here, we didn't.
Well,
Yeah, so
it's
you
the thing.
explain on the, right.
I
can't
sent
do
this to
that.
Jill weeks ago. So Jill and he had a conversation with Jill.
So she.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she got to explain.
Thank
They
because-
need, cause I said, like, it has to be part of your sales agreement, like, if you sell your house and you owe back taxes on it, you still owe them. Like, the buyer or the seller has to pay them before the transaction goes through. This is the same thing. So,
And that was
So-
explained to him, that's all, because he showed up tonight and
yeah,
thinking, and so I was just wondering.
yep,
All right.
So we would need Consumer Fresh Produce to contact us to say. What?
can they put it in part of the agreement, or are we willing to waive those back taxes for them, not for him, but it would be for them?
So it would be able to be sold to them with.
Yes.
that
We can't say that for
And then
everybody.
Yes.
they,
That we
then we
would
waive it for them.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we
This,
did.
we're talking $927 and you divide that
Yeah,
in,
but-
where Portnoy takes payments.
right,
Portnoy takes payments.
Yeah, they did.
They take squeaky little payments.
they do, yeah.
I know this.
Okay.
Regardless, they don't have to be paid if there's a sale.
Yeah, it's the.
They'll still have to.
And that's, and I have a feeling that's what's wrong, like, it won't, the sale won't go through because.
Because there's back tax on there.
But it has to be
They say.
in part of the agreement,
Then.
Right.
He will pay it.
right?
We can't waive it. We can't do anything about it,
Yeah, so we
unfortunately.
can, okay, so as a board. We cannot waive back taxes for individuals.
Absolutely not. Yep. You're
Okay,
exactly right.
so it's just on the property, yes.
I'm not
And
sure
it
that
is-
you can't. But you would
Not
have to
once
do
it
it
hits-
for everybody.
Not once it's at your.
I mean, it's there. I don't know what would have to do.
Farm
with it.
declared
It's not-
open to everybody and their brother wanting to get rid of their back
Not
tax.
going to
Yes.
do it, if we're refusing to, that's one thing, if we're unable to, that's another.
Right.
So that's what I.
Yes,
Right,
yeah. I'm not sure, because I'd have to research it, how many years we were talking about.
once it hits Jordan, then then they have 3 years to pay their taxes, then it goes to foreclosure, like, once it's there, it's there.
Yeah, so we don't know that.
Right,
Right.
because none of that was mentioned, so at this point, if anything's gonna happen, the fresh produce place will say, look, we'll take them taxes off your hands and get them back on the books, and they'll take care of you.
Yeah,
Right,
And
And
they're
they'll
just big of a
themselves.
company, they can do that.
It is gonna be a really big deal for us.
They can do that.
so, yeah,
This company, if this company is that big, they can swing a deal. We'll pay the tax.
Yeah.
You,
And
you
it
take
would
less
be-
off your
They
price.
would take it as part of their sales.
And that's-
agreement.
Yeah,
Absolutely not big. They should take. they
All
should
right.
pay it.
any new business, on a new business, any new business?
Oh, I have new business also.
So it was just mentioned that with VAX, where, a part of that training, that is recommended, it was mentioned something about, special education, like helping with like modifications and things like that for, VEX program. We, I mean, and it's based off a meeting I had recently, but we're one with VEX already paying for, Mr. McKenna, for support. We need to work on getting more of the regular education teachers, trained on modifications for kids who do have, IEPs, who are in our regular education classes. Because so just simply suggesting to put those students in a like co-taught class or a special education class, that's that's unacceptable. We need to work to make sure they're in a least restrictive environment. And we need to make sure that, I don't care how it needs to be done, information gets to them on how to modify and work for them. And I don't just mean small, small group instruction or moving their seat, stuff like that. No, we need to do this the way it needs to be done. So that they can thrive in a regular education classroom. I don't think we should be spending as much money as we do, especially with, that's paying for someone to come in and do that. So he's not doing a modification, so I'm not saying that we should not have modifications. As long as we have any sort of program, we should absolutely have modifications for, children with disabilities. I'm never gonna be against that. However, we need to be, if we were to pay somebody, and I would be fine with, we paid somebody to ensure that the teachers could properly support children with, disabilities in regular education classrooms. So it was just interesting that was just mentioned that teachers will be sent somewhere for that, but I think that should be automatic. And we recently just approved a special education, with settlement. Like, if we put more focus on things like that, we can prevent those things from happening. So,
Thank you.
Agree.
I just have one
Yeah.
small new business. So when we move, can we get Angie or someone to make a sign that says we have moved here or new address? So when people do,
Yeah.
although we're communicating and we're saying it,
It's
I
gonna be
don't
on the
know.
website and everything, right?
We'll talk about next week, but yeah, we're gonna put it on the website, we're gonna put it
Yeah.
out there. And
I just don't know what date. So if someone was to register their kid, they
Yeah.
come here, we wanna
I
say,
also-
hey, you'll see people in here, but these ain't our people.
Yeah.
We have not.
Admin is moving, so yeah, we'll be sending something out, and we could do like a, postcard.
Yeah.
Gas mailer for those who, because I'm hearing this more and more often, don't go online,
Yeah.
don't don't attend the meetings or whatever, just a small mailer that say, we're moving, something that looks like a little bit else. But our
And-
street officers know.
And also put in all our community newsletters and things like,
Mhm.
what's going on, newsletter.
Great.
I also
Any
have
other
something
questions?
else for new business. I just want to say, congratulations to all graduates. That was a great ceremony. I'm sorry I got wet, but it was still pretty good. Let's wrap it up. Let's keep it short next time.
It's just,
It's okay.
nuisance.
So, 21.1, we seek permission to adjourn the June 11th, 2025 agenda setting meeting.
Griffin moves.
Griffin moves.
Okay,
Second.
that's
All
great.
right, good night, good people. Good night. Thank you.
I'll get it first.